On April 4, Ove and I drove to Jekyll Island, located off the coast of the U.S. state of Georgia, midway between Savannah, Georgia and Jacksonville, Florida. Jekyll Island has a woven history layered with a rich legacy of luxury and opulence, nature and balance. And the Jekyll Island Museum uncovers all the details that come together to create an island steeped in heritage. Long before any of the wealthy industrialists began migrating seasonally to Jekyll Island, the island was host to other travelers. Native Americans began occupying the island over 2,000 years ago. In 1733, during the colonial era, General James Oglethorpe founded the colony of Georgia and named Jekyll Island in honor of Sir Joseph Jekyll, his friend and financier from England. In 1858, the Wanderer yacht landed on Jekyll Island with an illegal cargo of slaves from Africa. This was one of the last groups of enslaved Africans sold into captivity in America. In 1886, the island was purchased by the Jekyll Island Club, which Munsey's magazine called the richest, the most exclusive, the most inaccessible club in the world. For those who represented 1/6 of the world's wealth at the turn of the century, the Jekyll Island Club became an exclusive retreat. Families with names like Rockefeller, Morgan, Vanderbilt, Pulitzer, and Baker built the elegant clubhouse and cottages in Victorian architectural styles. In 1915, the first transcontinental telephone call was made in the United States. Presiding over the ceremonies by telephone were President Woodrow Wilson in Washington, D.C., Alexander Graham Bell in New York, Thomas Watson in San Francisco, Henry Higginson in Boston, and AT&T President Theodore Newton Vail in Jekyll Island, Georgia. In 1947, the state of Georgia purchased Jekyll Island from the Jekyll Island Club through condemnation proceedings for $675,000. After the museum visit, we went on a guided tram tour of the entire 240-acre historic district, which included entry into 2 cottages and Faith Chapel. That allowed us to step into the past of those empire builders that shaped our nation's future. The cottage. The Jekyll Glass Blowing Center. The Island House. The Commissary. The Doc's Snack Shop. The Skid House. The largest live oak tree in the historic district is nicknamed Plantation Oak and is estimated to be approximately 375 years in age. The Dubignon Cottage.
One of the millionaire homes. This house here is just a really nice big farmhouse. During the time of the club, they made it a little fancier because it became the overflow cottage. When there wasn't room at the clubhouse, you could rent this home for $15 a day, and it came with a lady to wait on you and clean it and fresh linen every day. The club opened each year from 1888 until 1942.
Known as the J.P. Morgan Cottage because the Morgans, elder and younger, lived here, Sanssouci, without care, containing 6 apartments, was built in 1899 by a corporation of members of the Jekyll Island Club. The Morgan Center, originally constructed in 1929 as an indoor tennis court for guests of the Jekyll Island Club, has been converted into a conference center, and it is the hotel's newest addition. The Goodyear Cottage was completed in 1906 for Buffalo lumber and railroad magnate Frank Goodyear. The Mistletoe Cottage was constructed in 1900 for Henry Porter, a manufacturer of locomotives and a graduate of Brown University. The Moss Cottage was constructed in 1896 in the shingle style, using all local materials, including cypress shingles. It is named after the Spanish moss, which is much in evidence on the trees of Jekyll Island, including those surrounding the Moss Cottage.
Come on along, let me take you by the hand, up to the man who is the leader of the band. And if you care to hear that Swanee River playing in ragtime, come on here, Alexander's Ragtime Band.
Indian Mound Cottage is a mansion that was owned by oil executive William Rockefeller. It was built in 1892, stands 3 stories high, and has a total of 25 rooms. There are 9 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, and 7 servant rooms. Indian Mound has many distinguishing features such as an elevator, a cedar-lined walk-in safe, taps for hot and cold salt water on the bathtub in the master bedroom bath, and a mound in the front yard, which is how the cottage got its nickname, Indian Mound. The Transcontinental Telephone Line Memorial. Nestled amid live oak trees draped in Spanish moss, this Victorian landmark enjoys a setting of unspoiled natural beauty on Jekyll Island. Here, millionaires wintered in scenic seclusion for decades, enjoying many amenities and privileges. The club was returned to its original elegance, highlighted by leaded art glass windows, ornate woodwork, and Ramford fireplaces. From its lofty tower to encircling verandas, Victorian charm still permeates the public areas and rooms once occupied by America's wealthiest families. Richard Teller Crane Jr. built Crane Cottage in 1917, and it was the most expensive and elegant ever built on Jekyll Island. Villa Ospo was designed by architect John Russell Pope for club member Walter Jennings of the Standard Oil Company. The cottage is a blend of Spanish eclectic and Italian Renaissance. Hollybourne Cottage is one of the more unique architectural structures on Jekyll Island. Constructed in 1890, this cottage was built in a style that is unlike any other on Jekyll Island and perhaps in all of Georgia. Current ongoing efforts to restore Hollybourne Cottage by the Jekyll Island Museum's team of volunteers began some 18 years ago.
Life was sweet, Georgia Brown, I'll tell you just why. You know I don't lie, not much.
Villa Mariana was constructed in 1928 for club member Frank Miller Gould, a second-generation member. Architects use a blend of Spanish eclectic and Italian Renaissance in the style of this cottage. The Cherokee Cottage was built in 1904 by Edwin Gould for his in-laws, the Shreddies. It was later owned by Dr. W. B. James, a former president of the club. There are engaged columns amidst three doorways featured in this Italian Renaissance-style cottage.
All those tips, the porter slips to sweet Georgia Brown.
Faith Chapel, completed in 1904, was built exclusively for use by the Jekyll Island Club's prestigious members. Beautifully stained cypress shingles grace the exterior and interior, and unique architectural features such as gargoyles make it a glorious Gothic Revival style setting. The richly intimate interior features elegant hardwoods and two brilliantly colored stained glass windows, one of which is signed by Louis Comfort Tiffany. Maitland Armstrong, who had worked with Tiffany, created this window with his daughter Helen. Rays of morning sunlight illuminate the scene, adoration of the Christ child. The chapel is now a romantic setting for weddings. As we were leaving Jekyll Island, we could admire the vast expanse of the marshes of Glen, made famous by the poet Sidney Lanier, as well as the beautiful bridge that carries his name. The Sidney Lanier Bridge is a cable-stayed bridge that spans the Brunswick River in Georgia. It is currently the longest spanning bridge in Georgia and is 480 feet tall. It was named for poet Sidney Lanier.